J. Sawyer. We're located in the Charles T. Fisher Mansion, and this is Theorematic. So the Kresge, like, how does it feel to win that? It's weird. I think like now I kind of like settled into it, you know, like what it was like. But when I first found out that I won it, like I completely kind of broke down and just like sort of like not tears, but just kind of like almost taking a knee, like just taking a moment to myself and like to really like think like, damn, like really, you know, like it was like I don't know if I really thought that it was like a real thing, probably because I had applied for it a few times before and hadn't received it. But I would say like, especially like this time, this was like the one time I really applied and I knew whether I received it or not, that my portfolio was like something that, you know, like should have been something that the judges really looked at and that everything was really professional and that I probably gotten to that stage. And at least I was glad that like the judges saw that as well. In terms of like what the opportunities are gonna bring to it, I don't know, I guess only time will tell. Like some of the past Kresge runners, I've seen some people like really, I guess like leverage that opportunity to push their careers further. I've seen some other people who I know that they've won it, and for the most part, it doesn't seem like they've really used it to push their career further. You don't have to, but these are just the things that I've seen. So I know I'm gonna try to use it to like leverage my career a bit further, but what those opportunities are gonna look like, I don't know. I'll just have to see like, when it comes up. Okay, so like it's about the show American Gods that was at in Namdi last summer. I did spend like a whole year like working on that show, and throughout that year, some of the paintings were in like other shows, but for the most part, the vast majority of the pieces in that show were things people hadn't seen before. I made sure, even at George's request, he was like, stop posting on social media so much, like let this be a surprise, like work on it in privacy. And so it was cool to like work on that show, and somewhat stressful to not need the approval of like the people in the internets, because, you know, I'm part of that like online culture. So I was really like into that. But like the closer it got to the show, man, like the anxiety really started building up, because like Detroit Art Week was coming up, other exhibitions were happening very close to mine and it was similar. And I didn't want to get like lost, you know, like in all of that chaos that was coming up. And then too, I was addressing like certain things like about American history that I wasn't sure how people would like receive it in that way and approaching it that way. So like the anxiety and needing to visualize what the show looked like conceptually, and like all of the research that went into it, man, it was like a lot of anxiety. And while I'm a very confident person, but I am very self-conscious. Like at all times, like usually I'm, you know, like I'm in this perpetual state of like anxiety and being nervous. Even though I know I come on, you know, I can be confident in things that I do, but yeah, like leading up to the show, you know, like sweaty palms, like really nervous. And then when the exhibition actually opened, I was like, because I hadn't even had any sleep like that day before, like because I was like up all night trying to finish one of the paintings because it was necessary to get like these folds, you know, like I said, anxiety. And then coming into the show, yeah, like I don't know, it was like overwhelmed, but a relief at the same time. You know, like I was happy that it was like received well. Towards the end of the night, you know, like after I received all this love from people and things like that, like that's when I finally like had a moment to like take it all in. And my boy JR, he was, you know, he had sit up there and pointed out to me, he's like, hey, like you sold everything except for like 4 pieces, like the opening of the show. And that like hit me really hard. And I was like, hey, I need a moment. And they, you know, he was like, okay, it's cool. And I had to go in the back hallway, dude. And I just broke down like crying because it was just like, what, you know. And I don't cry. So that was like a really like weird thing to like do, you know. And my boy Nick Notion, his lady came and like kind of comforted me and like kind of like let him have his moment, and so yeah, like that was really cool to have that. And then I think like maybe 2 weeks after that, by then everything in the show had sold out. And so Yeah, I mean, it's a pleasant surprise. Like I didn't, it's really cool. Like when people dig what you do to the point where they want to invest in it. And it was a pleasant surprise, but I liked it. It corroborated that what I was thinking about and the path, the things I was thinking about in terms of history that I wanted to present to the world were things that would be of interest to like people. And so I was at least happy that, at least in this moment, that's what seemed to be something that corroborated, like that I was on the right path. I don't know if I would say like the new work has a different aesthetic, slightly different subject matter, but it's a very, it still fits in the canon of my work. Like I haven't started the paintings yet, and the paintings are gonna return to like the mass figures. Like you see, there's one like behind you there. So like I haven't completely abandoned that, but I'm adding this new narrative like as a part of that canon. Because like, at least for me, like as artists, like I'm constantly trying to evolve, but I'm not the type of person who evolves in a way where I just go completely left of center, like where I was at.
Yeah, leap is more of like a pan.
Yeah, they're gradual types of transitions. The way, like I think my work grows the way that hopefully like we as people like grow, like you grow incrementally, like in terms of like your experiences, the people that you meet, and hopefully these experiences, the people you meet, the things that you go through, that they add to your life and make you more of a complex person. And so I think that's what's kind of happening in my work. It still uses the same, I'm still a figurative artist, I still paint, I still draw relatively formally. It's just that the subject matter, while still addressing like the intersection like race, pop culture, politics, and things like that, I'm dealing with those things just in a slightly different way, but not an extremely different way. So like people, when they see all the work together, they won't, seem like alienated, like who did this? Like it's not gonna be, yeah, like that type of thing. Well, I was like, in undergrad and things like that, like you're a student, you always think I have to get this done by this, like this particular time. But you do, because you have assignments due on particular days. And sometimes I think that drives like that angst where people feel like they need to get things done extremely fast. But when I was in graduate school, that's when I learned to like slow down. Like I learned, like proper technique, proper procedure. Then I taught myself how to break with that, like to make things like my own style. I've tried to rush through things, and for me, they didn't come out as successful as I might have liked, even though other people might have dug them. It wasn't something that, I could see the shortcomings and things. And so now, I try to make it just like monastic practice. Like I know what I'm doing, and so when I'm sitting there like drawing, if I'm sitting there painting, like it's a process. Like I have to go through it. It's meditative. It's not something I'm just about to run or do like a quick sprint. This is a marathon where you have to, about marathons. This is something you have to make sure that you pace yourself and take your time, because if you go super fast, you're gonna burn out really quickly, and then you still have 8 more miles to go. Like in this way, and one thing I like about the patient part of it is like it's fun. Like I like painting, I like drawing, I like the time that it takes. So like now I would say it's challenging for me to go fast, because that doesn't seem fun to me. I try to like draw it out as long as I possibly can. Yeah. It depends on the piece. Like I said, it's rare when I cry, but I do have those sentimental moments where I'm like, yes, I got this done. Like what was in my head is the thing that I'm looking at that's in front of me. Other times it can be a pleasant surprise, where what's in my head, it might, the thing that, whether it's the drawing, whether it's a painting or movie or something like that, the finished product may be something that I didn't anticipate, but like a happy surprise. And that's a different type of feeling. It's like, oh, wow. And so at least I'm happy that I'm still able to work into like within the realm of being spontaneous, because some people, they have to control like every aspect of, and I can be that person. Like I'm a control freak in terms of that with my work, but I'm not such a control freak that I can't get out of the way and let the work finish itself. like these, like like that drawing over there. Like I thought it was finished, but I'm like, it still needs something. By all accounts, technically the drawing is finished, but something needs to happen to make it a complete art object. I think I've kind of figured out what that is, but and when that happens, yes, it'll probably be this big, like overwhelming feeling, like yes, that decision was correct, or hopefully it's not a bad decision. I'm like, oh my God, what have I done? I've had a few of those moments. Like this particular situation, we're getting the opportunity to paint in a mansion. Like I got this because I went to a dance party last summer. And it's like, wait, what? Like literally like a type of thing, like had you not gone here, this thing probably wouldn't have happened. And like we went, it was like Questlove was DJing at MoCAD last summer. And me and a friend of mine, we went there, we were dancing, and I look up and there's this doctor who had bought two of my paintings just sitting there staring at us, like laughing, like you're having a good time. Cause they were sweating and dancing and stuff. I'm like, yeah, like, like what are you doing here? It's like, we're having dinner. Like there was like a private dinner happening in the back of MoCAD. And he's like, yo, have you met Hill? And I'm like, no. And I had no idea who he's talking about, like who Hill is, yeah. And so he's like, yeah, come meet Hill. And so he takes me in the back, like he has security take me back there, and you go there and this fancy dinner spread set up. And I walk there and it's Hill Harper, like the actor and the writer. And I'm like, oh, that guy, like it was on TV. And I guess he was in town to open up the Fisher Mansion for an open house where he had all these designers like decorate different rooms. And so it was a presentation of the city, and he was like, yo, brother, do you know why I'm in town? He's like, I'm in town because I was like, I don't know why you're in town. And he shows me like the Hour magazine with the picture. He's like, I'm in town. I bought the Fisher Mansion. I have this foundation. I'm about to have this artist residency. I'm looking for like young artists, to do things. And then Dr. Boyd's bigging up. He's like, yeah, I bought two of his paintings here. And he's showing him the paintings on his phone. He's like, look, I have those two, He's like, look what I got. And he's like, oh, I want to buy some of your work. He's like, you can't buy nothing. Everything's sold. Like that way. And they're joking like back and forth because they're friends. And he's like, hey, brother, how would you like? He's like, I'm doing an artist residency in the Fisher Mansion. How would you like to do an artist residency? And I'm just sitting there staring like, sweating because I've been dancing like all night. And I'm like, yeah, and he talks about it, he's like, here, take my number down. We're going to do this residency. And I'm not going to lie, it's like one of those things where, they're at a party drinking and you take the number. I'm like, I don't know if this is going to be a fruitful situation. These are just, like people, talking. And then, I texted him the next day. It was like, hey, thanks so much for the kind words or whatever. And he followed up and like literally like throughout the whole year in terms of like the residency and setting things up, he was like very, very communicative and came through. And, yeah, so then at the beginning of June, I ended up coming in here to like have a studio, and I thought that was like really, really dope. Like, like had I not gone to a dance party, like that probably wouldn't have happened, and yeah. So what's next? In the fall, starting in October, I have a residency at the University of Michigan for the Institute of Humanities. And so I'm working on a show, special projects, like I'll be up there doing talks, visiting students, and then they're commissioning me to work with their students to create a mural to go on campus, sort of in conjunction with the show. And so that's something that I'm still working out the ideal of what that mural will be. But some of a vast majority of the work in this particular residency here is going to go, like, I've been thinking about it, like, towards that show. Yeah, and that's like, I'm super excited for that. Just because, like, that particular residency at the Institute of Humanity, like, that's like a really, like, pretty prestigious thing. And, like, I love the projects that they've done in the past. So it's, like, really cool to be a part of that, And once again, and that was a thing that I got before the Kresge. Like, that's something I've known for a while, and that was really exciting. So, yeah. So after this, on to another one. Yeah, like they've been talking about the Confederate monuments and stuff, in like the last few years, like tearing down the Confederate monuments. This is like the largest Confederate monument, like in the United States. Like I found that like to be fascinating. Like it's the world's largest bas-relief. And this is a tribute to the Ku Klux Klan, and it's the place where the Ku Klux Klan was resurrected. And like every morning, man, like all these people go running on it. Like even a friend of mine, like he goes jogging. He's always posting this stuff on like Facebook. Like, yeah, we got up on Stone Mountain. And I think that's interesting that in the midst of like all this controversy in the last few years of people talking about tearing down Confederate monuments, this is that and the other. Nobody talks about this, and this is like the ultimate Confederate monument. Like it is the largest one. It's the largest bas-relief in the world. It's the biggest tourist attraction in Atlanta. Like I just think that's very, very fascinating. Like how we selective in terms of history of like the stuff that we want to remove and the things that we consider to be sacred. So yeah, I want to address that and talk about that.